Hello and welcome to the 146th episode of Fur, Fins, and Feathers. We continue with our guest Alex Wheeler from Wareham, we are going to continue our talk about many different aspects of purebred dogs.
Yep.
You recently became a judge of junior showmanship.
Yep, put in my application for working on, I should say, for judging overall in the breeds. But when I was asked, going through the process, said, I think I'd like to do juniors too. And the reason I was asked by people in charge, like, okay, why do you want juniors? So I said, I come from terriers. I know terriers, and I know a lot of different people that run these big terrier clubs. And they always try to get someone to judge juniors that knows terriers when they come out to their shows. So I thought it'd be just an added benefit, because I know how different it is to show terriers, because if you have somebody that comes from like a sporting dog, they don't quite get the terrier mentality, so to speak. So a lot of clubs, the terrier clubs, look for somebody that comes from terriers. So I thought that'd be cool. So I just started judging juniors this past year. And that's been really fun. And it's funny because you talk to some people and they're like, judging juniors is so hard. You got to look for things that kids are doing wrong, this, that, whatever, and showing their dogs. I'm looking at it from a different perspective. When I'm judging kids, I look at what they're doing right. Like, okay, who's doing
That's the way I judge.
Most, I look for what kids are doing right. Are they talking, when their dog's not being judged? Because I'm always looking out of the corner of my eye. Are they sitting there talking to the dog, making it fun for the dog? When they get up there and then they got to set the dog up in front of me, are they doing this, this, and this, and working with the dog? And, if the dog's being difficult, are they able to kind of recover the dog to get the dog back into the show mode? And that's a big thing for me. And I've actually enjoyed it. I've had good times doing it. And I've had a lot of good kids, and sometimes it's like really hard sorting them out, as you probably know.
Oh, yes.
And it's like I just look, all right, instead of looking for what they're doing wrong, I look like, what are they doing exceptionally well with that dog, presenting it. It's been fun. I've been enjoying it. I'm looking forward to getting into the confirmation end of it. And
I've always enjoyed studying the various breeds.
Yep. And understanding what they're all for and used for and this and that. But, if you have a dog, it's a good way for kids to get out, get off the cell phones and doing something, and working with the dog and understanding how to take care of a dog properly, and grooming the dog, builds up confidence that way.
It's a very rewarding educational experience.
It is. It very much so is. So I'm looking forward to my next venture in life of getting into judging. But judging the juniors so far has been good. I've had I judged like juniors down at Hatboro, which is a big terrier weekend. I had a lot of terriers there, and that was fun and exciting. So,
you've gotten out a lot to travel.
Yeah, over the years. Oh yeah, the most shows I ever did in 1 year was 175 shows. And that's not
overwhelming for a lot of people.
That's 100, but that was back in the day when you didn't have back-to-back shows, so you're on the road over half the year. So,
have you been abroad?
Yep, I went to England back in 2000 for a big Airedale show over there, and I was there for a little extra time. And I went to Blackpool Kennel Club, that was fun. I had a good time down there, talking to people, meeting people down there, and just seeing how everything was done. So I've enjoyed it.
Very good. Talk about some of the other breeds you've worked with.
So some of the other breeds. So I'll talk about like Affenpinchers. Affenpinchers are like the monkey dog. They should have a monkey-like expression. I like Affenpinchers. Small. They have a big dog attitude and a small dog package. They're hard coated, so they have to get stripped out too. You do have some smooth coated Alpha pinchers. I always got the ones that had to be stripped out. Little artistic work there, doing them up and everything. I've always enjoyed them. Brussels Griffon. The Brussels Griffon, the look was, they used them in the look. Steven Spielberg used the look. I think it was Steven Spielberg for the what were those little creatures in the movies there? You remember what I'm talking about? But
I've never watched many movies,
Oh,
so I don't know.
I gotta think now, what the heck they were called. But the look of the Brussels Griffon was used in one of his movies for one of the characters. Just kind of a cutesy bear-like look, I guess you could say. I've shown some Dalmatians. Oh yeah, one group of the Dalmatian. Actually, I had a lot of fun with that. Some of the difficult breeds I've shown over the year were Black Russian Terriers when they first came over here. Because they were relatively new in time frame because they were kind of developed during World War II. So there was a bit of still working with them. But when they came over here, they were very much a watchdog, very much a guard dog, because that's what they were bred for. But over the last bunch of years, they've kind of,
They've mellowed out.
yeah, they mellowed out. But when they first came here, you could tell they were still very much watchdog, and they were most of them were imported. So most people don't know, like with the Black Russian Terriers, for lack of a better way of putting it, when the Nazis were invading Russia, they were wiping everything out. So the Russians just started breeding big dogs to big dogs, and they wanted a good guard dog that was safety, and boom, 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 and hence the Black Russian Terrier, which is actually a working dog. It's not a terrier, in the scheme of things.
You've worked with corgis.
Yep. A lot of Welsh corgis. They're the adult ones without the tails. And a lot of Pembrokes too. Pembroke. Listen to me. I got it backwards. Pembrokes don't have the tails. Welsh have the tails.
The Cardigans.
Yes, thank
you. With the tail.
Yeah, thank you. Recovered there. But I've worked a bunch with them. Had a couple of good clients over the years with those. Nice dog, the Queen's dog. So.
Of course. Did you ever study with Al Kirby?
I knew him. I never studied with him.
Okay, he ran the training classes at Wampanoag.
Yep.
And he was instrumental when I started. He said to me, "Take your terrier and bring it." And the first show I ever went to was in the Cape Cod Mall. They had indoor dog show.
I remember that on Sunday only, because of the blue laws in Massachusetts that couldn't be open.
And the first judge I ever showed to, and I was petrified, was Anna Catherine Nicholas, who was legendary.
I know.
And I went over, and she said to me, "What a nice little terrier you have." She gave me a blue ribbon and a little trophy, and I was hooked from that day on.
She wrote a lot of books. I actually have a miniature Schnauzer book that she wrote that she signed for me.
And she was always very gentle and very kind to everyone.
She was. She was a very good lady.
But that was, and you remember the Cape Cod Mall only on Sunday.
Yep, they only had it 2 years though there, because then they went to the high school.
Yeah.
And that was I just remember the snowstorms. And then they went to the Bourne High School for 1 year. And then they ended up where they are now at the Cape Cod Fairgrounds. Cape Cod Fairgrounds.
Near Falmouth.
Yep.
Nice shows.
Yep. Very nice shows. Oh, I also teach handling classes.
Oh, talk about that.
So I teach handling classes over in Middleborough at Bark. It's called Bark. And we do it on Tuesday nights. And somebody wants to learn how to show their dog, they'll come, and it's like just a drop-in session. It's reasonable money.
What are some of the breeds that the people have?
So I get a bunch of German Shepherds that have come to me. I get a poodle, a couple of miscellaneous breeds.
Any terriers?
Yeah, my daughter's dog. She'll come practice with her dog there. Not many terriers. A lot of sporting and working dogs and herding dogs. But it's fun. And I like getting people that like want to listen, actually want to learn. I'll have some people that are really good at showing dogs, and they just want to practice with their dog just to give them some experience and stuff. And then I'll give them like little hints, like, hey, tighten up your lead here, try this, that, and everything. I enjoy that, kind of passing along knowledge in my head. So, and I like teaching the new people. Like I had a new girl the other day come with a dog, brand new, for 5 minutes I spent with her because she actually got there kind of early. I did some one-on-one time with her, saying, okay, here's the quick basics, boom, 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 showing her the general idea.
What breed did she have?
A poodle.
Good.
Yep. A standard poodle, too. So we just kind of went over it. The dog was cut down and everything, but she wanted to start learning about it, and so hopefully she enjoyed it. But it was interesting.
One thing that has always interested me is having a dog come in the ring and it's not well conditioned, it's not well groomed, and what am I doing here? The person says, this isn't for me. But take them aside and educate them and spend some time with them and educate them as to what they can do, and find a mentor who is willing to work with that person.
Yep.
I had a woman come a couple of years, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I was at a fun match, and the dog was a lab, a black lab,
Mm-hmm.
came in. No, it wasn't. It was a chocolate lab. Came in the ring. The dog was so out of condition. It was huge. And I said to the woman, I'm going to give you a second place. I said, but when I'm finished, I want you to stay and I want to speak to you. They found a mentor I went over to them and found a mentor, and I said, would you be willing to help this person? Oh, yeah. 2 years later, that woman came up to me and she said to me, I just finished my first champion. She said, I bought another dog. And she said to me, you told me that I could do it. And she said, look my dog is now a champion.
Awesome.
Those are stories. I love to hear stories like that.
Yep. I mean, when I was showing dogs, a lot of dogs, I'd see like a new person in the ring, say like with an Airedale, and you could tell they weren't sure what they were doing or how to groom the dog. And I'd go up to them like, hey, can I help you here? And, I'd show them, hey, try trimming this up like this, and explain why you're trimming a certain thing a certain way. And do things. I've had people come up to me like, oh, you helped me way back in the day. I'm like, and unfortunately, just because you meet so many people, I don't remember. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But it's like they remembered, and they remembered the kindness that I showed to them, and getting their dog ready or how to properly present the dog.
Anna Catherine Nicholas was that type of person.
Yep.
She reached out to people, and people thought, oh, she's written hundreds of books, and she was never lofty. She always was very compassionate and always willing to help.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is what we need to do.
Yep.
That's the way we should be.
I agree 100%. You know, you want new people to come in, you have to kind of pass along that
Our
knowledge.
sport, unfortunately, is not flourishing. We need to help others.
Yep. And people have to seek out the proper information, the right information.
There's a lot of misinformation on the internet and other.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, I read things and I cringe. So you've had experience in a lot of different, all 7 groups.
Yep.
Do you have a particular favorite?
Group or breed? Well, all right, we'll do different groups. So we already talked about like the terrier group. So in the toy group, I really like my Affin Pinschers and Brussels Griffons. Okay, I had fun with them. The working group, I like the Giants and the Standards. You know, I like doing them, and I like their attitudes and everything. In the non-sporting group, I like the Poodles and Bichons. I like working with them and playing with them. In the herding group, I like my Corgis and everything. Herding group, I like my Briards. I gotta think of all the different groups. Got me on the spot.
How do you educate yourself?
So how do I educate myself? And I still do it to this day. Being within the sport of dogs for, you know, almost 50 years now, you learn to meet people, and you learn who to trust and who actually knows what they're talking about. So I was asked just recently to judge a cocker sweepstakes. Now I helped a lot with cockers and everything, but I'll find somebody like, you know, Cliff Steele, and I'll go up to him and I'll say, Cliff, you know, hey, teach me a little bit more that I might not know, or things I should look for about Cocker Spaniels, and have fun with that. But I just, you know, look for people that I know, or if I see someone showing a dog that I think's like really kind of clever at showing a dog, I'll kind of watch them from afar with other dogs and see, okay, what are they doing? How are they doing this? I'm not necessarily watching the dog themselves. I watch their hand movements, their body language.
I like to sit ringside too,
yeah. So,
and to observe.
Well, that's when I say ringside or far, I mean, you know, I'm you know, just outside the ring.
And I think
watching.
coming on this show, I learn a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're teaching me about Airedales.
A sleepy Airedale. She's liking this. The only thing it would make better for her is to have a couch to sleep on. But no, I just go out and I'll seek people that I think are very knowledgeable within that breed and ask them questions. You know, I'll go through and I'll read the standards, and then I might pick up, you know, or I'll pick up books and read about the history. Because like I said, we were talking about earlier, every dog has a very specific purpose, what they were bred for. You know, so if you understand, you know, that what they were used for, like a hunting purpose, like where were they used to hunt? Like if you were to think about like Lakelands and Welsh Terriers, some people would be like, oh, you know, why, you know, they don't understand the subtle differences. But you got to understand where the dog came from. The Lakeland Terrier came from the lake region of the UK. Now, what's the lake region of the UK like? It's very rocky terrain, okay? These dogs were used as ratters up in that area. And if you look at a Lakeland's head should be no wider than its body. Because wherever the head went, the body should be able to follow. So when they went into these rock crevices to get out the rats or whatever little quarry they were going for, the person with the dog didn't want the dog to get stuck within these rock crevices. If you were to take a Welsh Terrier and put it in, Welsh Terriers should be much more bodied dog. It wouldn't be able to do what a Lakeland did in that area. And vice versa. You know, the Welsh Terrier came from the Welsh area of the UK or Wales. Different terrain, different things. You know, so if you kind of learn what the dog was bred for, where they came from, you'd understand. We kind of, I quickly maybe allude to a little earlier when we were talking about like greyhounds. Greyhounds are used, you know, to hunt rabbits out in the desert. So greyhounds should have like a very keen eye. They're a sight dog, a sight hound. They should be able to see great distances. They have a hair-like foot. Well, what does that mean? If you ever look at a rabbit, or their foot is kind of long and narrow, whereas like an Airedale should have a cat-like foot, more tighter. Well, if you had a cat-like foot on a dog that's in the desert, when they're running in the sand, it just kind of drives into the sand and they wouldn't be able to get the speed they have. Whereas a greyhound has more of a flat foot like that, and they can grip it, and it's got wider grip, and it can run through the sand to catch the quarry. And you know, if you understand like where the dog came from and how it was actually used, you can, you know, understand standards better.
Now we have how many? Almost 200 breeds accepted?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but it's right up there.
I know when I go to do junior showmanship, if they're not, oh yeah, that's a golden retriever. But some of the rarer breeds or the newer breeds that I really have to study.
Yep. Sometimes it's not easy, you know, because some of them are just starting to come around and everything, and there might not be a lot of information. But as you know, you make the best of it, and you try to learn, and you talk, like I said, talk to people. The older breeds I'm really good at, like poodles. Poodles, most people think, you know, poodles are actually a hunting dog. They were as a bird dog. So why do they have the cut they have, you know, with the palms here, you know, the big fluffy hair. So, and as you probably know, they were a water dog to retrieve the bird. And people that bred them, you know, put the trim on them, you know, they'd have a big palm here, say covering their ankle. It covered the ankle joint. So when they were in the water, it kept it warm so they could move. The big puff around the chest cavity kept the chest cavity warm, and they took off all the excess hair that wasn't really needed so they wouldn't sink while they were retrieving the bird.
One of the most fascinating dog show experiences I have had the privilege of doing was a dog show in the Azores.
Really?
And they brought in many breeds from the continent to exhibit at this show. And there were many new breeds that we would not see in the United States.
Yep. Oh, it's what. Have you seen like a sporting dog in action, actually working to retrieve birds?
Yeah.
That's wild. I got friends and they go hunting and they'll go bird hunting. And a couple of them invited me to come out and watch because I like watching how the dogs work and how these dogs will work a field for the hunter. I find it absolutely amazing. You know,
they're doing a lot of that in Rehoboth.
Yep. And it's like, it's wild to watch the dog, and you understand, if you see like how the dog actually works, you can understand why they were bred a certain way. And I was like amazed by it, you know, because I was with this one guy, he brought me out and he had Brittany's, and watching the Brittany work.
Moving the Brittany,
oh,
they are beautiful.
But it was kind of cool to watch.
Pointers are fabulous.
Yep.
Have you done any work with pointers?
A little. Not a lot, but a little over the years. So I've enjoyed them.
Why haven't you written a book? I'm asked that all the time.
Because I can never, and this is the God's honest truth, I can't put down that's in my head. It doesn't go into my hand right to write the words. I am not eloquent at writing words. You know what I mean? If I had somebody, a ghostwriter, I'm sure we could write a fabulous book.
People don't read books anymore.
Nope.
But we should. We should.
It's a lost art reading, I think.
Was the Airedale, though, your primary breed?
Yeah, I mean, I've owned other breeds over the years along with Airedales. Like my first dog was a miniature Schnauzer that I personally owned that I got from Jerry Kelly.
Fox Terriers.
I had Fox. I had a what?
Did you ever have a smooth?
I've shown a bunch of smooth, but I owned wires. And more that I like the artistic with it, trimming the hair and everything. And I lucked out. I was given a couple of good wires over the years, and I enjoyed that. So.
And now you're moving on to Judge.
Yep. And I'm still going to show my Airedales, my own personal Airedales and everything, and help my daughter with her dogs and stuff. But she's kind of taken over the reins.
So you will be judging probably all over the world.
We'll see. We'll see. I think so. I kind of had a couple inquiries actually lately. People asking me, "Oh, did you judge yet?" Boom, boom, boom. We'd like to have you come here or there. So
when I sit down, Judy Harrington is a friend, and she's coming on the show, and told me about some of the places that she has been. I'm saying, wow. She just got back from France. She's been to Australia many times.
But you know what though? Because I've talked to a couple people. It's not sometimes unless you spend extra time there. Like you plan it out. Like, okay, I'm going to stay a few extra. Most of the time, you go in, you get to the hotel, you go to the dog show, and then you get on a plane back.
Yeah,
unless you.
That's happened to me.
And traveling nowadays is a nightmare on planes. Planes getting delayed or canceled because with our boarding kennel and everything, we have people that'll be calling us up or texting me saying our plane got delayed, we can't get our dog till tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, not a problem, just let me know. We actually had one person that I forget where they were, they couldn't get a flight out for 5 days later because of scheduling. So flying's not what it used to be back in the day.
Alex, we're coming to the second episode, the end of the second episode. Alex, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
So much.
I've enjoyed it.
This has been fun. We've covered a lot of ground. Thank you very much for coming, and we'll see you again, I hope.
I hope so, too. And Tiger says, oh, it's over? You didn't ask me anything.
You are a lovely Airedale.
So I'm just going to go back to sleep.
You're going back to sleep.